In the midst of a record crop of corn and soybeans here in the Midwest, there are hungry people in Missouri. Food pantries and the food bank may be the only resource for lots of folks. Next on Show Me Ag. Welcome to Show Me Ag. I'm your host, Kyle Vickers. Thanks for joining us. Missouri and the states here in the world's breadbasket are experiencing record crops as elevators and grain bins are bursting, but right down the road may be crushing poverty and severe issues of hunger and food scarcity. Many families are feeling the pinch of declining government assistance and depend on local food pantries for help. A new program sponsored by some big names in agriculture can help bridge the gap between farm surplus and hungry people. We're visiting with Theresa Spaedy with the Columbia Food Bank, who can explain the program you may want to know more about. Theresa, thanks for coming. People have trouble, I think, sometimes realizing how big a problem hunger is.
I think you're exactly right. I think if you're not immediately, it's not something you see every day. It's not a lot. It's not something you think about a lot. But actually, 1 in 6 people in our 32 county territory are food insecure, which means they're not certain where their next meal is going to come from.
And that figures out to be several thousand people that are actually worried about, like I said, where their next meal is coming from.
Exactly.
That includes a lot of kids, I assume?
Absolutely. A lot of kids, a lot of single parent families, a lot of elderly folks who never thought they would be in that situation.
Fixed income folks who
Yes.
really don't have much of an alternative.
Right, relying oftentimes on maybe a $300 to $600 Social Security check, yeah.
I know part of the programs have to do with kids. Kids that get school breakfasts and lunches sometimes go for days during vacations or weekends without food.
That's right. Our Buddy Pack program is intended to bridge that gap. The Buddy Pack program is a program that sends food home with kids who are in need every Friday afternoon so that they have meals for the weekends.
I know, just as an example, some of our school districts have, they keep track kind of the income by how many kids have free and reduced lunches. And that's a huge number in some of these small towns.
It really is. We were just having this conversation. Actually, there are schools in our territory that are as high as 93, 95% free and reduced lunches.
And they're really dependent on that school program for
very
food,
dependent, and they're oftentimes in the rural areas.
We just hit a round of budget cuts that are really going to affect the food stamp program. I think it's starting to take effect this month. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Well, we don't know immediately what the effect of that is going to be. I know that they are trying to continue to help a lot of folks who are in severe need, the more severe need of food stamps, but we have been seeing increasing numbers for the last probably year, and I would expect that that cut will have a pretty direct effect on those numbers continuing to increase.
A period of time where we've got fairly high unemployment in a lot of these areas, and poverty generally, and now the relying on that for their food needs is going to be cut back.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. I introduced you as the Central Missouri Food Bank or Columbia Food Bank, but tell us a little bit about how that works. You really cover a wide area, don't you?
We do. We have a 32 county territory. It extends all the way up to the Iowa border. It comes down the Illinois border, reaches over to Rolla, and then down below Camdenton, and then comes up as west as Sweet Springs.
And so there are other food banks. I know there's one, Ozarks Food Harvest, I believe, in Springfield, that covers some other areas of the state, but you've basically got that North Missouri region.
Right. There are actually 5 other food banks in the state of Missouri besides us.
So you reach out then to those local communities. How does that work?
Well, we have 138 what we call agencies. Most of them are food pantries that are accessible to folks in communities. Clients who are in need of food are able to come to these food pantries sometimes several days a week, sometimes once a month. We also supply food to soup kitchens. Then beyond that, we have a children's program called our Buddy Pack program, which we talked about a little bit. And we also have a summer feeding program for kids when they're out of school. And then we also have a senior program. So
You have a lot going on.
oh, yeah, it's everything under the sun. Yeah.
Well, we recently visited Moberly, Missouri, where the Cherith Brook Food Pantry has spent the last 16 years, with the help of the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri, providing assistance to hungry families.
Cherith Brook Food Pantry is one of 3 different organizations that partner with the food bank down in Columbia. We have been around for approximately 14, 15 years, and just here really just to serve the community in whatever facet that we can. Here this year we have been averaging approximately 900 families a month. With our largest month in August, we had 1,038 families, which represented 2,830 individuals. So it's been a pretty good increase. Last year we averaged right around 830 to 850 families a month and stuff. So we're just here to share hope that even though people might be going through a hard time, there's people that care, and then we obviously provide the service of giving food. Our partnership with the food bank in Columbia started with a phone call from the director, Peggy Kirkpatrick, to our lead pastor here at Family Life Fellowship, asking that, would you please provide a service for a food pantry? And our immediate response was, let us pray about it, because at first we didn't want to do it, just to be honest. But when we did, we just really saw the need. With that partnership comes approximately 90% of our food has always come from the food bank in Columbia, and so the work that they do has just been phenomenal. Great people to work with, and when you meet with them, when you talk with them, you can tell that their goal and our goal is the same, that we want to provide hope for people, we want to provide food for people, and if you talk to people at the food bank, we're here to stamp out hunger. I mean, that's just part of it. Once a month, we provide them a report of how many people that are coming through, how many are providing different kinds of support, that like SNAP or food stamps, TANF, things like that. We provide a report of how many families come through, how many individuals that represents, and then twice a month for us, we're able to order food through an online service that the food bank provides, and they give us kind of a checklist or a grocery list of things that we can order, and it's usually done by the case, and we just try to go crazy with it as much as they'll allow us, to just bring in as many pounds as possible. Just Monday this week, we received a truckload of 40,000 pounds. Most of it that we ordered, and then any extra room on the truck, we get fresh produce, or an extra pallet of frozen goods or refrigerated goods, whatever that our facility can hold. And so when that stuff comes into them, they've got it's a very professional. I don't even know, program way that it flows. The donations come in, and then they start to divvy out the weight to different pantries based on, I believe, need and what the footprint or reach of each pantry is. And they try to be as fair as possible, getting the right stuff to the right community where things are needed. But excellent, awesome program down there. When you talk to the people in the lines, the one question that we always get, because they know when our trucks come in, so the one question we get most of the time is there meat in the freezer? And so really just about any program that's going to try to secure protein, and protein in the way of meat. You can get protein in many different ways, but it's honestly, it's just a little more enjoyable when it comes in ground meat or something of that facet, ham, different things like that. And so what Invest in Acre is to our pantry is meat in the freezer. Whether farmers are donating animals directly, or an acre of their land that the food bank is getting some sort of getting something else where the food bank can focus some of their funds on bringing meat in, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of different balances there. But when that farmer goes into the grain elevator and says, hey, this acre is going to invest in Acre, don't cut this check to me, cut it to Central Missouri Food Bank or the Food Bank of Northeast and Central Missouri. For us, that turns into pounds of meat. And when you have 1,000+ families coming through each month, and some of these families, I've got families of 10 and 13 individuals in one house. A pound of meat may not seem like it would go very far, but if you've ever been in a place where you haven't had meat, that pound of meat is something special. It's really easy to be able to support a local food pantry or the Food Bank of Northeast and Central Missouri. Every once in a while, once a month, once a quarter, you can look in your pantry, and we all have those canned goods that we're keeping, but we probably really won't eat. Well, somebody will, and I know it seems like, well, this canned good might have cost me 20 cents. Well, when you're trying to decide whether to buy medicines or put a gallon of gas in your car so that you can make it to the food pantry, that 20 cents adds up quick. And so it's real easy to support. It doesn't take funds. I mean, it does take funds, but it doesn't necessarily take $1 from each person. It can be something as easy as going to your pantry, your personal pantry, your cupboards, once a quarter, once a year, and just cleaning out the things that you know that you're not going to use. If you do have the finances to be able to support, I'm going to encourage you to send that dollar to the Food Bank of Northeast and Central Missouri. They can do more with $1 than what you would ever think is possible, and that means that somebody in my line, in our line, is going to have that much more food, and that means the world to me.
If you'd like to learn more about the Cherith Brook Food Pantry, you can find them on Facebook at the address below. Guys, Theresa, this really brings up a lot of questions. For one thing, that's one of 138 agencies that you all provide food to. Is that right? The
That's
Moberly
right.
group.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there's a huge line of people waiting there for food.
Yeah.
That's really kind of scary.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think the more rural you get, the more you get further away from our Columbia, Warrensburg, Jefferson City, the more visible that becomes.
Unemployment, I understand, is kind of sharply higher when you get out to those out-of-state regions because there's just not as many jobs available.
That's right, and you certainly see, like we talked about in the schools, you see those free and reduced percentages for the kids, lunches that go up as well. Right.
Well, again, this brings up a lot of questions. I want to come back and talk about the program here in a minute, but where do you get your funding? Where do you get your food? Is it gifted largely?
By and large, it's gifted, yes, from individual donors, corporate donors. We write a lot of grants as well. And so, yeah, that's by and large where we're a private foundation or a private organization. We're not a government funded.
Not a government funded program.
Right.
So this is sort of a supplement to the food assistance program that the government provides.
That's right.
And so for people that aren't maybe eligible for that or having trouble, or maybe hopefully it's a temporary situation,
Right.
This is where you guys step in.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about, Brad actually mentioned the program that I really wanted to talk about today, and that's this Invest in Acre program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd be glad to. Invest in Acre is a program that was launched in April 2012, so just about a year or so ago. And it was launched by the Howard G. Buffett Foundation. Howard is the oldest son of Warren Buffett, and he partners with Archer Daniels Midland, Monsanto, and Feeding America. And the way it works is if a donor is interested in giving to this program, as long as they are in it can be an individual, by the way, or a business, a foundation, a church, as long as they exist in a rural area, they can give to this program. And for purposes of our food bank, which covers 32 counties in central and northeast Missouri, our entire territory is considered to be rural. So anybody living in that area, that 32 county area that I mentioned before, can contribute to this program. And when they do, and by the way, when they contribute, the check needs to be made out to Invest in Acre. And then they can send it to the food bank. We're going to forward that check on to Feeding America. And then once a quarter, Feeding America is going to send that cash back to us along with a matching contribution, dollar for dollar, from Monsanto. And then those dollars, as Brad mentioned, are going to go back to the same communities where the donations came from in the form of 1 pound packages of meat. So the donors' dollars, that rural residents' dollars are going to stay local, and oftentimes, most of the time, that's a very important thing to the person giving.
We're kind of in the midst here at this time of the Philippine disaster, and I know people are concerned about how much money goes for overhead, but that's where these other people step in as a part of this program, isn't it? With the Buffetts paid.
Absolutely. Actually, Feeding America has, or rather the foundation has underwritten the cost for a full-time person at Feeding America to administer this project. And actually they have underwritten all of the administrative costs for the project or for the program. So, and that's why we're able to get every penny, dollar for dollar, of those matching funds back.
Well, so the administrative cost is covered by the Buffett Foundation.
That's right.
And then ADM, what's ADM's role?
Well, actually, originally the program set out to mostly involve farmers as the donors of the program. And so there's actually another way that a farmer can contribute rather than writing a check. The ADM elevators, which are largely in the state of Missouri, located in northeast Missouri, although I think there's one down in southwest Missouri and closer to Kansas City. The farmer can go to the ADM elevator and when they're selling a truck of their grain, especially right now during harvest time, they can request that a certain amount of those proceeds from the sale of their grain be sent to Invest in Acre. And it's as simple as that. That's all. They don't have to fill out anything. They don't have to sign anything. They just let the grain or the elevator manager know that they would like to send it on. And then Archer Daniels actually is the party who sends the cash on to Feeding America and the gentleman who manages the program, their Invest in Acre program.
The third leg is Monsanto, who is one of the world's largest corporations. A few years ago, totally devoted themselves to agricultural products, seed, chemical, and so on. Then they match those funds dollar for dollar. Dollar
for dollar. And actually they do it up to $675,000 annually. Missouri was one of 5 pilot states to be involved in this program, so we have a huge jump on getting the word out to folks who might be interested relative to the rest of the country. So we're hoping to be able to take advantage of.
Well, as a farmer, I kind of like that idea of getting some of Monsanto's money back in our community.
We hear that from time to time.
Okay, then, so you're taking those dollars and you're buying a specific product with this set of money.
That's exactly right. We're buying 1 pound packages of ground meat, and right now it's through a program that is a program that's it's our food bank's program, the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri. What happens is our first partner in the program is actually Cargill Pork, and Cargill Pork has agreed to partner with us to give us very reduced cost hogs, live hogs. And then we have a processor in Marion County, Country Butcher Shop, who is another one of the partners. And then Marion County Farm Bureau is kind of the logistics partner in this partnership, if you will. So Cargill Pork provides the live hogs, Country Butcher Shop processes, and Marion County transports those live hogs from Cargill's farms to Country Butcher Shop. And actually just yesterday morning, we shipped out a from Country Butcher Shop, where we picked up a very large load, about 8,000 pounds of
wow.
ground pork. Yeah.
Well, this is a great partnership between a variety of entities, isn't it?
Yes,
that
it
really,
is.
That's
It
the
is.
kind of thing you probably like.
Absolutely, and we just hope that it inspires some new partnerships so that we can get additional types of protein, including ground beef, hopefully some ground poultry in the future as well.
I know that from what I've read, as there are cutbacks and food stamps are cut back, meat is one of the first things that people give up, and sometimes that's a real staple in a diet because it is the higher protein. Instead of just eating the lower value carbohydrates and that sort of thing, people can actually increase their health and
Exactly.
well-being by eating some higher protein.
And that's across the board. That's for kids, for the elderly, and for everybody in between. I think that's, for the most part, that's what folks like to be able to put on the plate of their families. So,
how is this going so far? Are you getting a pretty good response?
We have gotten a tremendous response. Particularly, I mentioned that it was originally only farmers were involved or were able to give, and just very recently, and that was going very well. But very recently, they opened it up to anybody, any individual or any organization that existed in a rural area. And so we have a lot of people out there beating the past for us to bring in donations, including our pantries.
Well, that's. I sold some soybeans yesterday at an ADM plant in Deerfield, Missouri. That's the one you're talking about.
There you go.
My trucker had a 5-hour wait unloading. They have so many soybeans, they're building a pile of 1 million bushels outside. And this is a real challenge for any of you farmers that are listening out there. This is a great opportunity to do a couple of things to really leverage out money from these companies that's going to help some hungry people right here in Missouri. And Theresa, I'm going to get this started. I've got a check from my wife and I here.
Wow.
And I want to donate this. And how do I make it out?
Make it out to Invest in Acre.
Okay, and then you're going to take this back and send it in, and this money's going to come right back into this local area. So
absolutely, Kyle.
I want to challenge every farmer, everybody that's watching this, because you don't have to be a farmer to make this contribution. You've made that clear. And I've kind of got an idea that I'm going to go back to my hometown church and try to raise some money as well, and get that into the system, and get some more money out of Monsanto.
And that's exactly how things have been working, and just how our momentum gets going. You know, I'm one person. We have a development team of maybe 10 to 15 people, and but folks like you you give us a lot of motivation, a lot of momentum. So
well,
thank you.
I want to challenge everybody out there. We know this is a problem. We know the holiday season's coming up. We know that there are a lot of kids and aged folks that are out there that are really needing this program. So my compliments to you. Tell us, where else do you raise your money? Do you, when you said there's corporate sponsors, any significant things you want to mention that somebody's really stepping up?
Well, absolutely. Big corporate sponsors off the top of my head, and these can be cash or food. General Mills gives us an enormous amount of food. There's a plant located in Hannibal. Kraft, there's a plant in Columbia, Tyson Foods, in Sedalia. The list goes on and on. We have some just terrific partners, not just with food, but also with cash donations, and a lot of individuals as well.
And aren't there some people that are bringing fresh products in as well, that sort of gleanings program, sort of surplus things that they can get to the food bank?
We have a lot of community folks who bring in fresh produce, or farmers who might raise pumpkins or tomatoes, maybe for sale at the farmer's market, who bring us fresh produce. But also the university farms are just this past summer, we got a tremendous amount of corn from Bradford Farm with Tim Reinbott there at the University of Missouri.
We actually had done a show with him last year about some things that they're doing at the University Farm. So this is really a widespread thing. And
it really is.
It's a great story. It's just unfortunate that we have in such a wealthy country. And I'd like to, again, challenge some folks that are going to go out there on what they call Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and spend hundreds of dollars. Share just a little bit maybe with some of the food pantries or with your food bank in whatever area they're in, and I think for most of our viewing area that's going to be your food bank. So guys, it's really great to have you here.
Thank
I
you
think this
so
is a
much.
great program. I know that you're working very hard to help some people that are really in dire need, so we thank you. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for tonight. I'd like to say thanks again to Theresa Spaedy for being with us, and thank you to Brad Fimler and the Cherith Brook Food Pantry for allowing us to visit with them as well. Before we go, we'd also like to say thank you to our viewers for tuning in to Show Me Ag. We hope you'll tune in next time for another look at a topic touching rural Missouri. For everyone here at KMOS and myself, good night. We're also very interested in what you have to say. So if you have feedback you'd like to share with us, you can email us at showmeag@kmos.org or find us on Facebook.